Hello, welcome back to There and Doing It. I'm Hester, and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, let's just get straight into it, then, mate.
Yeah.
We've lost 3-2 at Everton. We didn't do a pod after the Arsenal game, but we lost that as well. And it's come out now. Came out after the Arsenal game. It's come out straight after. This morning, first thing this morning. Spurs sticking with Ange.
Yep.
And we're gonna try and help him. Don't know what the fuck that means. I mean, what does that even mean? And for going forward for now, it was very like beating around the bush. We're going to try and help him for now. What the fuck? Anyway, let's get straight into it. What the thing we need to do right now is either back him or sack him. It's so clear. You either stick with him and go all out, guns blazing, and try and help him. Try and give him to the end of the season and try and give him as much ammunition as possible to try and get a little bit of positivity back in the club. Because you saw how toxic it was at the end of the game yesterday. I mean, you saw fans going after Sonny, fans going after Postecoglou. You saw him get a bit feisty in the interviews. And that sort of belief that we were going to reinforce the squad is getting... It's less convincing day in, day out. I mean, it's the 20th of January. We've got about 11 days left of this transfer window, and it's trying to do something. I mean, what the fuck? And so the logical thing would be you sack him now, or you give him reinforcements. Cut to Daniel Levy. He's rubbing one out in his office. Like, they are doing absolutely nothing to try and help this situation. And it is negligence to the highest level. How they're not doing anything. They're frozen. What are they doing? And they haven't even come out publicly either. It's just journalists. Come out publicly and say, this is what we are going to do. This is what we're going to do. Give us some clarity, because we're in the dark and we're out and it's toxic and it's shit and it's depressing. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel here. Nothing at all. Getting our pants pulled down and exposed. And we're heading for that. Wait, I mean, I've got a question here. Is relegation a legit question? Like, is the question of relegation legit? I mean, that was a 6-pointer yesterday, and we lost.
Yeah. So praying Chelsea do us a favour tonight. That's what it's come to. That's what it's fucking come to with this club.
Who are they playing, Chelsea?
Wolves. And if they win, if Wolves win at Chelsea, then
mate, we're in trouble.
We are in trouble. Yeah,
you might be in trouble.
I was celebrating every City goal going against Ipswich yesterday, like it was a Spurs one.
We've gone from hate watching Arsenal and being City fans season in, season out, to now like supporting them again, like killing our relegation rivals.
Yeah, I'm hate watching Ipswich.
It's fucking shit.
That's what's happened. That is what's happened to us.
It's quite entertaining, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite entertaining. What's your thoughts on it all then? I sort of chucked a lot at you there.
Well,
but mainly to do with the backing him or sacking him.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've gone from what did people call us before, like monitoring player FC, like when we were linked with players, to intent on helping the manager FC. What does that mean? Like, so many of these issues were apparent before we even came into the transfer market, into the transfer window. Sorry, it's not like obviously our injury situation has worsened in the last few days, obviously with Basuma, Johnson, and Solanke obviously being the main one. Like, it has obviously got worse, but so many of those issues were there going into the window, and we've done nothing to address any of it other than sign a goalkeeper who, I think Kinski is a good signing. I think, again, he showed that yesterday. Obviously, he struggled a little bit at the Emirates, but nothing near what was made out in commentary yesterday. But we, like you said, I think it is literally back him or sack him. What are we doing? We're not doing anything. We're just feeding out these kind of statements to the press of, we're intent on giving him the help he needs and putting the support around him and all this kind of stuff. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because you're not showing it. Like, you are literally not showing it. You're undermining your own words that you're using by saying that you're going to back the manager. We haven't been linked with one. I know, like, this whole Lang thing works in silence, blah, 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 blah. They might well be working on stuff behind the scenes. But even if we bring in players towards the end of the window, we've got 2 games in the next week, which are absolutely massive. At Hoffenheim away, where our injury situation is exacerbated even more because of the fact that we can't actually even use some players who are fit because they're not registered, Spence and Reguilon. So God knows what teams can be put out then in a game that we kind of need.
God.
We need to win. And Sunday against Leicester, like we should beat Leicester, but we should have got something against Everton. We should have beaten Ipswich. You know, like we should have beaten Brighton. We should have beaten all these teams. So what confidence have we actually got as a fan base with everything that's going on at the moment, of which the manager has to take responsibility for and blame absolutely for not getting as much out of the players that he has got available. And the results in isolation are sackable form. Absolutely. But you put the context all around it, he's not been given a fair crack of the whip whatsoever. And it's massively showing now. It was showing anyway, let's be honest. And look, I don't think anybody anticipated the injury situation that we've found ourselves in, but we could all probably see, despite the fact that some people were more positive about the window than others, and I'd probably be in that camp because I was pleased with the business that we actually did do, and pleased with the fact that we got rid of all the players that Ange didn't think that could play his style, but we didn't do anywhere near enough to support him then. He came out and said that he was happy with the window, whether that's just kind of posturing to, keep the board happy. And he keeps coming out and saying that the board are working really hard behind the scenes and all this kind of stuff, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing any evidence of that. You can't be 20 days into a transfer window and keep saying the same things about the board are working hard, the club are working hard behind the scenes, because they should have been working hard before the January window even opened to get players over the line, because our situation has only got worse, and it was bad enough anyway before we went into the window in the first place. So they're undermining the comments that they're actually making and feeding to the press by saying we're going to stick by him and all this kind of stuff. You're not giving him a fair crack of the whip if that is the case. You might as well just get rid of him. I don't think getting rid of him right now is the right thing to do, because I think, look, I was at half-time yesterday, I was very much like, and after the game, and I still feel like it now, to be honest. If he does go, I'm not going to be that upset about him being sacked in isolation because, like I said, the results and the form in itself is sackable. We are looking over our shoulder rather than looking up the table. We could genuinely be in a relegation battle. But again, I think it comes back to the whole thing about. I don't think there's any. Well, if they are going to back him, then keep him, but give him a bit of support. But we're not seeing that. So that's why the argument is that you might as well just get rid of him. Adding more instability and bringing another manager in who, like, the names that are linked out there, or we could potentially get Allegri,
Allegri blood.
Massimiliano Allegri. My sources have told me it's coming. At least we could use that meme. And like Edin Terzic and stuff like that. If people think we're going to get Iraola now, you're fucking dreaming. You're actually smoking fucking weed. Like, what are you doing? Like, there is no way that happens there is no way that is happening in right now. It's not happening in the summer. It's not happening. If you're Andoni Iraola, why on earth would you, if he gets Bournemouth into Europe, he'll get rewarded with a bumper new contract to stay there and fight off any people, because we won't be the only team in for him. There might be another team that changes manager of the size of a club like Tottenham who could come in for him, even potentially abroad maybe. You never know. He's a good manager, and we've spoken about it before. Like, you could see him at Spurs for sure, in terms of like he's the sort of manager they would go for, and it makes sense. Like, I think he's a good coach, but I don't think there's anyone that's going to come in now that would make me more confident about turning the situation around than the manager that we've already got. But that doesn't mean that the results aren't sackable. You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's a difficult. I can see both sides of it for sure. I just think that. I don't know. I think everybody's just a bit like I saw the Fighting Cock put out a poll, was like, are you Ange In or Ange Out? And I think it swung massively. And I think that game yesterday is like, the majority of people are still Ange In, but it's close. It's like 50-something%.
What did you vote?
Oh, obviously I would have had to have voted to see the results, wouldn't I? I voted Ange
what did you vote?
I voted Ange In on the poll.
Yeah.
And there was I think Jack Enoch Out replied to it being like, why is there not like a I just don't care button? And I think that's where a lot of fans sit. And that's kind of where I sit, because we know that the cycle is just going to start again. And there's nothing to believe in Tottenham right now. I don't think you can believe in the manager right now in terms of turning it around, because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can't believe in this weak group of players that are already there, which their weakness again is compounded by the injury situation. You certainly cannot believe in the board. I think everyone's just getting a bit apathetic. And the problem is that apathy is not a good thing, because it means that if we keep losing games and we just drift, we will find ourselves in a relegation battle 100%. Like, this is a really dangerous situation to be in, I think.
Yeah.
What did you vote?
I voted Ange Out.
Did you? He has to go, blood.
No, only in an ideal world I'd be Ange Out, but it's almost like I don't even know what I am. I have no idea. Like you said, I wouldn't be upset if he got sacked, but I'd just be so frustrated and tired of the same cycle. So it's like in an ideal world, he should be gone. This form is not okay. It is not okay. Even with the injury crisis, we've still got teams above us who have a less quality in their squad, but they manage to get more points and look more convincing, look more sustainable. I just think we're such a sinking ship, but I have no trust in the board to turn it around or choose the right manager. And actually, there isn't, like you're saying, there's not any options. That if we hired Mason right now, it would look like an absolute wank fest. Yeah, at the club for the third time in a row. Ryan Mason coming back in. Come on, steer the ship, get us to 10th, mate. Like it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Why is he even still at the club? Next manager that comes in, he's the first to go as well. I'm not being funny. I don't know why I'm going after Ryan Mason. I think I might, like, this is a bit of a catharsis pod. I feel like I might start going after random people you don't expect.
Fucking
I was thinking earlier.
Gilda Dinelay is going to get it. She's fucking getting it.
She's causing the injuries, mate. She's
social media,
salt, pepper, and sugar in their foods, mate.
The social media admin girl that filmed the day in the life of Colours. She
can fucking go as well. Yeah, read a room, mate. We don't want to see this anymore.
No, quite enjoyed the video. To be fair,
yeah, but it's not now. Not now.
Yeah, not now.
Oh, Madison's another one. Yeah. Again, there's loads of like bit discourse just because this ran through my mind. I was like, mate, Madison got relegated with Leicester.
Yeah.
Is he going to do it again with Spurs? It's all his fault. Get him out.
That interview that he gave for Spurs Play or whatever was very reminiscent of a lot of the words that he was saying when Leicester went down. I was just like,
really? Serious?
Well, yeah, but he was the one that just like, we've got to stick together and all this kind of book. I didn't read it. I literally just watched like I didn't watch it. I read the quote, and it was like, we've got to stick together and all this kind of stuff. And, we've got 11 fit senior players and all this. I'm just like, the thing is with Madison, like, there was a moment in that game, and I do think Madison is a little bit overhated in terms of how he can affect a game for Tottenham. I think he's had a decent season, all things considered. But there was a moment in that game yesterday that absolutely summed him up in these kind of situations where he, it was in the second half where we were 3-0 down. He lost the ball inside their penalty area, chased the fullback out and just fouled him. Such a soft free kick, and it was just like, those are the kind of things that really wind me up about you. Like, you're not, I don't know, like, he was trying to affect the game. Obviously, you can't say that he wasn't. Obviously he is, but just, I don't know, we're not seeing enough, like, from anybody really. It's not just him, but he is a player that you just think, you are really fucking frustrating me right now.
Yeah, I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but that Seb Martin, friend of the pod, he said, I'm not going to name names, but I'm sick and tired of players that are like the face of the club, front and center when everything's going well, and then hiding, shrugging, and when it's going wrong. And I think Jackie in account, he was like, mate, just say Madison.
Just say James Madison.
And I was like,
just put the
and I was like, yeah, that is true. Yeah. So like when I saw him coming out with the interview, I didn't watch it. I was like, it was like that David Brent meme where he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, and just turned my phone off. But I don't want to go too on. It's a whole squad thing. I feel like it's the squad, it's the manager, it's the board. The fish rots from their head, doesn't it? But everything's infected, I feel like. But we're a sinking ship. Do the board think we're fucking stupid as a fan base? Because it is so clear what they're doing. They know.
I don't know what you're going to say after it, but yes.
Yeah, just yes. Yeah, because they know it's it's clear as day. If Ryan Mason comes in, it's an absolute shit show. Oh yeah, I didn't finish my point on Ryan Mason. Next manager, right? Yeah, you've had your experience as one of the coaching staff. Can you go and be a manager now and off some elsewhere and actually develop as a coach? Because I mean, the last thing we need is you lurking about. It's always going to be a thing of him coming in and replacing a coach and steadying the ship. It's like, okay, let's just get him out of the picture. Anyways, I think the board recognise that if he comes in, that would look terrible. There's not any managers right now available that would be forward thinking or forward planning. So it's so clear that we are blindly backing him, quote unquote, backing him, by just saying, "Oh yeah, we're giving him time. This is backing him. We're going to try and give him time to try and turn this form around." Yet not actually putting in any reinforcements, not actually doing anything. It's gaslighting to the highest level, because it's kicking the can down the road. Because we know at the end of the season we'll be like, well, we're 17th, so I think it's justifiable that we sack him. But because we gave him that time to try and turn it around and we didn't see any progress, so we're going to have to let him go. And then the fans are like, yeah, fair enough. I think everyone will be like, you fucking idiots, you should have backed him in January then. But it's more acceptable if we're like, it's bottom half of the table by the end of the season, border like this doesn't match our ambition of getting top 4, etc. It would be, if they're thinking the fans will accept that and then we can go again in the summer.
Yeah.
But are you fucking? We are in the middle of January right now. January 20th. We've got 11 days left, and you're sat there twiddling your thumbs. Like, what are they doing in the boardroom? Lange, Ange, Donna Cullen, Mackenzie, Daniel
Fucking
Levy. Are they playing heads
kebab,
down, fucking thumbs up in there or something? What are they doing? What are they doing?
That's what we should call the podcast. Heads down, thumbs up.
Heads down, thumbs up. Oh, it's piss. It's just like every time you think of it, it is infuriating. And I feel like everyone's in the same boat except the board. And I tweeted this. At the end of the transfer window, when we've tried, or at the very least, we've got Ansu Fati on a fucking loan. If that's the only business, or if we have no business, Postecoglou has got to come out like Conte, all guns blazing, because this isn't acceptable. He's actually backed the board. They need to reciprocate that. He's actually been there saying they're trying, in fairness, like they're really trying. We know it's really hard. And a lot of people get pissed off at that because they think he's doing it to, as a puppet. Yeah, but I think he's just doing what he knows he's lucky to be in the job, I think. I think he does. I think he knows he's on borrowed time. And if he did say anything right now, it gives more firepower for the board to just be like, just pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, absolutely. But, it was kind of the same with Conte, wasn't it? Really, like Conte, there was that Southampton game. The Southampton result wasn't necessarily why he got sacked. That press conference after the game was the icing on top of the cake of the fact that we weren't progressing, and it was a string of bad results, and that was the reason they pulled the trigger. But it was a kind of we weren't in as bad a position. It probably again, like some people have said that it felt worse towards the end under Mourinho and Conte. I'm not sure it did, but I think it felt, maybe it did. I don't know. Certainly under Conte, I think it's kind of comparable to now because it was so toxic. Obviously, the results are much worse now. But again, it was a kind of a similar thing where I think they used that Conte rant to kind of, that was the thing that tipped them over the edge of,
that was their justifiable.
And I think you're right. I think if Ange does something similar, even though Ange in his own way, to be fair to him, has consistently put pressure on the board. He has, he's gone about it in a different way. But from the start, but even before the window opened, he said that we need players. He's gone, he's gone on and on and on and on and on about it. But when he's been asked about it, he has defended them and said that they are working hard to do so. But regardless of however much you support Ange or not, like the fact that we are 20 days into January and we have signed no outfield players and we've had one credible link is inexcusable. And then you see this morning, Man United going in for Patrick Dorgu, and it's like, what are we doing? It's just like, I feel like I'm going insane, like absolutely insane with this transfer window. Yeah. Like when you see the way that other clubs are kind of moving around us, and it's like, look, we aren't comparable to City, right? City obviously still have that pull, and I don't think we'd be able to sign Marmoush. I mean, there's no reason why but the problem is there's no reason why we couldn't sign Marmoush. Like this is, I saw Ted Trunk's
No
podcast.
financial reason either.
Exactly. There's no reason why we couldn't sign Declan Rice. There's no reason why, and I say I'm just using him as an example, like £100 million player. There's no reason why we couldn't do that. But the club just don't want to. They don't want to because, as we've said many times, the more money gets spent, the pressure then goes up. But the thing is, it doesn't make any sense for the board, really, because if they want to take the pressure off themselves, because if they sack Ange, and this is, I think, part of the reason also why they're keeping him, they will, the blame will, all the attention will turn to them, because Postecoglou will be forgotten. If Postecoglou gets sacked this time next week, Spurs fans will, I don't think Postecoglou, despite the fact I really like him, I really, really like him, and I really, really want it to work. Like, I really do. And there was still a tiny piece of me that believes in him. I think he can turn it around and keep us up. Right? It's a mental statement to make. I think he can turn it around. But like in terms of achieving what we thought would be possible, that belief has kind of gone. Like there is still a tiny bit of hope that I do have, but I think that's just blind belief rather than absolutely anything with any substance. But I think there won't be a big mourning period for Postecoglou, really. I think people will be upset about it because it's like it's just such a shame kind of thing. People will feel like that. He will be forgotten quite quickly, but all of the pressure I think will be on the board, and that's what they don't want. So it makes no sense for them to not go out and spend big money, because if you want the pressure to be off you, I saw a graphic that was like, someone posted it in the Fighting Cock Reddit. It was like how much it was a table in the Premier League of like how much the owners had bought in the Premier League out of all clubs, how much the club had been bought for by those owners, and how much of their own money they'd actually invested into the playing staff. Tottenham were right at the bottom with West Ham. And it's funny that you look at, there's a little mini league in the Premier League from 13th to 16th of Man United, West Ham, Tottenham, and Everton. These are all clubs that they are getting absolutely what they deserve. Absolutely what they deserve. Fair play to Everton. They were the better team yesterday. And they've made a good appointment in David Moyes, I think, 100% to steady the ship. They will stay up comfortably, I think. And they'll be fine. And I think he's a good manager to lead them into the new stadium. It made sense for a lot of reasons. But for various reasons for all of those clubs, the decision-making off the pitch that has led to underperformances off the pitch, all of those club owners, not the fans, Tottenham fans don't deserve this. West Ham fans don't deserve this. Even Man United fans, despite how good they have had it for a long period of time, don't deserve it. And Everton fans don't deserve it. Chuck Wall's in there as well, who are below Everton, 17th. They don't deserve that. But the owners do. Levy and Enoch absolutely deserve what's happened to the club now.
100%.
They definitely deserve this, because they skated on along for too long with prime Kane and prime Son and didn't show anywhere near enough ambition to the point where Kane wanted to stay. We've lost a 1 in a million asset in Kane. And look, I think it came to the point where we probably had to sell him because of the money that was there and he wasn't going to sign a new deal. That makes sense. But that decision in isolation, I think, does make sense, and use that money to then rebuild, which we did do. But also at the same time, the consequences of your actions prior to that meant that we had to lose Kane, meant that we had to put ourselves in that position because he didn't want to commit. That Levy and Enoch and the Golden Sullivan at West Ham, the Glazers and Jim Ratcliffe and everyone, Managerial at Everton before this, they deserve exactly what they are getting. And this is all the consequences of Levy's actions. What is happening right now? Postecoglou is not blameless in all this, and we've said this so many times. Like, I've been a defender of Ange, but that first half of football was inexcusable yesterday, and it did not look like the players knew what they were doing. We scored 2 goals in the second half, but I'm not going to call that a fight back. The sad thing is, to me, is that we've seen performances in this tough run that you can take hope from, right? Newcastle, we played well and were unlucky. Liverpool, we played really, really well and deserved to win that game in the Cup. And we said it after the game. That is a kind of performance that gives you hope. It gives you some sort of rejuvenated belief in this project. And then what we saw yesterday, what sort of belief is that meant to give you? And I think that just shows you the fragility of this group that, like you said, and to the point that Seb made, excuse me, when everything's all going well and people are jumping up and down on the bench when we're scoring against Liverpool, like, it's all fine. And when we're winning games, it's all fine. They're more than happy to be at the front and center of it. But, and look, you can't, for me, in my opinion, you can't legislate for the abuse that someone's getting after the game, getting called a wanker and stuff by his own fans. I think that's completely out of line and completely unfair. But then again, I also think it's a little bit like the Ange Bournemouth situation where people just want someone to be angry at. And look, Son has been dreadful, absolutely dreadful this season. And it's clear that he's fallen off a cliff. Does he deserve that? No. Does he need to stand up and do more? Absolutely. Do the rest of the players need to stand up and do more? Absolutely. And there are a few players that I won't necessarily include in that. Dejan Kulusevski being one of them, who's tried to carry on the team on his back for the longest period of time, and he'll be the next one on the injury bed before the players come back. We'll get Romero and Van der Ven back next week against Leicester, and then Kulusevski will get injured. This is why you can't get excited about the players coming back, because you've lost Solanke now for, Ange said yesterday, a few weeks. They said they don't know how serious it is yet. It was a tweak. Maybe it's not, hopefully it's not quite as bad as the ITKs were making out on Saturday night when they were talking about 2 months potentially. But, you know, it's inevitable. It was absolutely inevitable he was getting injured one way or another.
That's a warning shot.
Yeah, whether it's down to Ange or not. Like, again, obviously Ange is getting a lot of blame for the injuries, and he is, obviously his football is culpable in that 100%. Style of play, training, absolutely. But if your striker tweaks their knee taking a shot in training, that's not on the manager. But the way this group has been mismanaged and run into the ground from the manager and the board, it was inevitable in some way, shape, or form, right? And Kulusevski will be the next one.
Yeah.
Mikey Moore obviously is another player that you can have some hope in, because he did more in that half an hour or however long he was on the pitch than Son did in the entire 90 minutes. You know, that cross by the way, is an absolute joke that he put in for Richarlison. Absolute joke. But the problem is now is that, and I'm guilty of it as well. I tweeted after the game, like, about him kind of being a shining light about, you know, he should be playing every game now. I said that because it's like, just because you want to hang your hat on something and believe in something because you see this kid is absolutely mustard, that's not a good thing either. Hanging all your hopes on the 17-year-old and putting that much pressure on him when he's just come back from 3 months out as well, that just shows you the desperation and we are in as a fan base to cling and put your hat onto something to believe in, you know, like that. It's just, it's an absolute mess. And Jed Spence as well, of course. Jed Spence is just Jed Spence.
Fucking love Jed Spence.
Fucking love Jed Spence. Fucking hate Tottenham. Fucking love Jed Spence.
Fucking hate Tottenham. Yeah. I agree. That what you said there was true about the injuries, and we're going to keep having injuries. Injuries are going to always happen. We got a question from Travis Leveson saying how much is Ange to blame for the injury crisis. Obviously, he's unable to rotate now, and there's a cycle of players being overplayed, injured, overplayed. But in my opinion, his squad management early in the season was poor and could have somewhat prevented the severity of this, which I think is just spot on. I think his squad rotation at the beginning of the season was really poor, but we never had the squad depth in the first place. We were a very thin squad. And they should have been alert to the injuries we had. And last season was the thing about the beauty of last season, if you're looking at a trajectory, was a linear trajectory, was, okay, you can see the quality in our team, but you can see how injuries could dismantle us. So let's get squad players because we're in an extra competition. Our squad, the squad depth remained the fucking same. It was stupid. And what this whole, like, we're riding the storm, we're going to ride the storm. When the players come back, everything's going to be rosy, it's going to be amazing. Are you fucking stupid? Like, injuries always happen. Injuries don't have a cut-off point after January, do they?
Yeah.
They're not. In fact, injuries will probably get worse as the season goes on because they're playing more games. It's not going to be like, oh, we've got the players back now, no more injuries. Let's have a fucking go at this at top four. Like,
we're still,
top four
we're still
on?
playing 3 games a week. We're still playing 3 games a week for the next.
So let's get a set, because I saw a report, I can't remember who from, but it was saying Tottenham know that Van der Ven and Romero are coming back, and Ben Davies has come back. So they feel like the defender that if they sign a defender this January, they might become surplus to requirements because there's going to be players in their position. What happens if Van der Ven and Romero get injured next month, like after coming back? And then we're back to square one. We got to ride the storm again. Like, it's so fucking negligent. And I think it's stupid. Well, we got a question here from Jackie Nickout, but he says, is Ange past the point of no return? Felt like, especially with signings, Everton and the 3 after were opportunities to pick up a few wins and some momentum, but that doesn't look at all possible now. Worst part is I'm not even halfway through listening to Ange Born Audible. Yeah, well, that's like,
literally, mate.
That's like you.
I've had to, mate. I'm doing 75 hard, doing 10 pages of a book a day, and I'll be honest, I've failed because the last couple of days I've been the book off. I've been the book
Have
off.
you? Have you?
I can't. I just.
I would as well.
I'm looking for a new book. If we win against Hoffenheim, I'll probably start reading it again because the problem is that it's just like it does like it, I know like people bang on about it, but reading it makes you believe. It does. It really does. It's like it's like I don't know. Like it's But I mean, Jack, I'm in exactly the same position as you.
Has Eden Turdzic got a fucking audio book?
Fuck that.
Get
I've just
on
seen
that,
a tweet.
mate.
I've just seen a tweet from Dan Kilpatrick.
I saw that as well. It was a nothing tweet. It was an opinion tweet. It shouldn't be fucking reported.
Well, basically just said
There's
what
nothing in
Alistair Gold said this morning anyway, just on top of the fact that Eden Terzic is out of work and would likely be one of the names discussed. But I think that's
not news.
That's purely because he's out of work. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's not fucking news. I saw that and I thought there's no point saying that because I feel like that's just stirring the pot as well. Like, but again, it's clear that there's no available manager out there. It's funny because it was I'm in a group chat with two Man United fans and a West Ham fan. Every weekend we just give each other shit.
Yeah.
But we're actually below them both now, which is ridiculous. But it's no coincidence that, like you were saying, the three worst owners and the two worst owners in the top six in the Glazers and Enoch and Levy. Man United and Spurs are literally hand in hand. Amorim and Postecoglou both look defeated. They look helpless.
Yeah.
In interviews, they're both being questioned on their style, everything, and nothing really looks like it's going to change. So that's the thing. We look that we're hand in hand this season. 9 games in 9 months or something like that. Aggression in trying to make our team better. It's pathetic. And Man United fans are in the same boat, but actually they're above us. So I mean, by like 2 points. But going back to Jack's question about
just on that, who would you say is in a worse state right now, Spurs or Man United?
I think Man United's wage bill. Like the frustrating thing is that Man United are actually they've got their hands tied behind their back a little bit because of PSR. They're limited because the wage bill is ridiculous.
Yeah,
everyone's on ridiculous wages. They're trying to bin off Rashford on a loan. Yeah, they're trying to bin off Rashford on a loan because and no one even wants him on a free loan because his wages are so astronomical. And whereas Spurs actually can go out and be aggressive and sign some players and spend some money and take some risks and finally back a manager. Where Man United are a bit limited in what they can do, so it's a bit of a shit show there. Which is, I'd rather be a Man United fan, but we actually have a little bit of hope that, or we have the facts that we could go out and spend that money, where they're more limited than us. So it makes it even fucking more infuriating that we're not. But anyways, we're always giving each other shit week in, week out because all three of us crap, West Ham, Spurs, and Man United. But the question, going back to Jack's question about is it sort of terminal? Is there no return? Yeah, I think so. I think he's being hung out to dry. It's so clear and obvious. And I've got a question for you. If that was 3-0, if that did finish 3-0, is he gone this morning? I think those 2 goals saved. It just looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. It's one of those things where if they did sack him this morning, although you probably couldn't argue with it, again, it completely undermines what they said last week, and they're not. One of the things that Dan Kilpatrick just said was that they're not monitoring Ange's future on a game-by-game basis, although there is a massive acknowledgement that Leicester is a must-win game, which, again, is just a ridiculous sentence that we didn't think we'd be saying this season. But, they're getting... the owners are getting everything they deserved. I made a TikTok video before the Wolves game joking that it was a 6-pointer. We are actually in this situation now. Like, this is real. This is real. But, yeah, I think there is a good chance that if it finished 3-0 or worse, because let's be honest, like Kinski's save in that first half, they had other chances as well. Like they didn't really have any chances in the second half, but you play like that against any other team that open. I know you had to try and get back in the game. A better team would have scored more goals in that second half. I know, like Arsenal could have been more than 2-1. And again, it's one of those ones where I saw James Alcott's video where it was just saying Tottenham are losing the XG battle in every single game they've lost. Like, it's true. Every game we've lost this season, we have lost on XG, which tells you, despite the fact that there have been things that have gone against us in games. And look, I think we definitely should have had a penalty yesterday, and that shouldn't be that shouldn't be overlooked. I don't think it's not an excuse because we didn't do enough to win the game, but it's a fucking penalty, and we have had a lot of refereeing decisions go against us in recent weeks, which is just compounding that misery. But the bottom line is that we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. To answer your question, I think
would you have sacked him 3-0?
Would I have sacked him? I don't know. I really don't know. It's easy to say yeah, but then again, kind of coming back to all the other things, like
the context of Levy being the board, and where do you go from there?
Who do you go and get? Like, what you're trying to
hopeless.
Because one of these things that people keep saying is that the fact that we're spending no money is a clear signal to we don't believe in the manager. But then why do you keep coming out and saying that we're sticking by him? He's fucking mental. Like, it's just nothing Spurs is doing none of it's adding up at the moment. None of it is adding up whatsoever. And the problem is that Levy and Enoch aren't going anywhere. Enoch have just increased their ownership share, haven't they, as well? It's just nothing's changing, mate. Nothing is changing.
I think we're not backing him. We don't want to spend any more money on him because we know he's probably going to get sacked anyways in the summer. So then there'll be articles saying Iraola thinks this is the best squad he's ever seen in his life. Son is rejuvenated, ready to go again, and that's our new signing. Like, getting Son back to full, like, to his best. Yang, don't forget about Yang. Like, he's going to explode next year. And like, it's going to be like that. It's going to be, he doesn't need a dribbly winger. He doesn't need an out-and-out six. He doesn't need this. And it's going to be back to square one where they can start manipulating the media again, and the media outlets feeding us absolute shit. And to be fair, I'll probably eat that up because the dopamine rush of something new.
Mate, you got to have science.
But I feel like, yeah. I feel like, I mean, it was infuriating. I completely understand why he hadn't started Richarlison. I feel like his hand kind of was forced to, and I thought he was going to start Richarlison. But because he's so injury prone and Solanke's injured, you really don't want to run the risk.
No.
But then the formation change was stupid, in my opinion. Even Ange at the end of the game said he had to make a change halfway through the game. I mean, I feel like when a manager's ran their course when they finish a game 4-4-2, because that's the sort of go-to. He's playing two attacking mids and centre mid, a winger up front with Richarlison, and then Mikey Moore, a 17-year-old kid, and Kulusevski on the wings. It was like the desperation at its fullest. But I mean, I understand that, but the five at the back was just, I thought it was so stupid because the easiest thing, the players at least know their game plan of how we're going to play when we're playing in the system we've been playing in. When Archie Gray was announced to play and Davis was back, everyone was going, "Oh my God, he's playing in midfield! Like, thank God, he's finally playing in his position. He's been incredible, playing as a utility player. But now we get to see him in the position with Sarr and Bergvall in midfield, and all of a sudden he's playing right centre back in the back three, and it's like it was so clear those players didn't have a clue how to go about that game yesterday. It was the easiest defensive job in the world for Everton before we changed it at half time. And that has to be on the manager because Solanke got injured a day before the game. Or what was it?
I think it was Saturday morning.
Certain amount of hours before the game. Yeah, a day before. Yeah, so pretty much a day and a bit before the game. And we've obviously gone with this whole tactical change. Playing Son up front against Everton, a David Moyes team, you're never going to get him. He's never getting a sniff. He's never getting a sniff. He's going to get bullied.
But
that's what happened.
The problem is though, he had two big sniffs in that first half, like two big chances.
Through on goal.
He went through on goal 1v1 and the cutback chance. He's got to be doing better in both of those opportunities. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Like back to play, he's never going to give you what Solanke is, and to be able to hold off Branthwaite and Tarkowski 100%. But there were times where we found him in space.
Yeah.
One of them he was way too quick to get the shot off. One of them he actually had a shot saved from Pickford 1v1, and then he had another chance where
oh
my God! So he had three golden chances in that first half. Song.
Yeah, should have done better, 100%. Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying from an ideological way of thinking, if you're going into Everton away, I mean, Son up front is stupid. I mean, I get 100%. He should have scored 3, but like I just think that isn't the play. That isn't the play. To play him up front. I know it's like, well, Richarlison's coming back. What do you do? I mean, maybe Lancashire, but he obviously has no faith in Lancashire after he scored a goal and got sent off against Galatasaray. That was it for him. Didn't even feature in Tamworth. But what infuriated me was that he could have just played the same game if it wasn't working with Son up front, then bring Richarlison on, and we're still in that set system. We didn't have a clue from a defensive angle either how to play, and Everton just cut through us every time they attacked. It looked dangerous. It was terrible from Ange. I think this was one of his worst tactical sort of ideas or what he's implemented tactically in a game, in an individual game. I think this was one of his worst. But the thing about we have hope in these one-off games with Liverpool, the Man City game, this argument. I'm losing belief in that as well, because it's like we have these one-off, once-a-month games where we look really good. I'm sure that's the case with a lot of like Wolves. Wolves will beat like a good team, and they'll be like, "Wow, that we let's move with that. Let's move with that momentum. Go into the next week and get dick slapped." It's like we're becoming that. We're becoming that with that mentality of, yeah, but look at this game here. We showed that we can be dangerous on our day. We can be dangerous. And I feel like we've gone from a really good team under Ange. Then there was a period of Forrest Gump football where it was like life Tottenham like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
To fucking hell, I'm not looking forward to going Goodison Park. Oh my God, we're 3-0 down at half time. I'm not surprised one bit. This is just infuriating and hopeless. And I think, I mean, we have this same cycle, in fairness, every single time with any manager, because they're not giving them the funds, but or the backing. But I just think Ange has just run his course. It would be so surprised. It's like 1% chance, 99% hope. And I'm just losing all hope. And I think he's done. I think he's terminal, because there's no sign of any backing. Giving him time is backing him. That's fucking stupid. That's doing nothing.
This is the thing, like you see, you know, like as much as I do want to believe in him, I think he's a really good guy, and I in an ideal world, I love the football that he plays, and I think there's no doubt. I think you can be successful playing that way. I think that is a myth that needs to be dispelled. Is he going to be able to do that with the limitations at Spurs? Probably not. But again, what does success look like? Is it the sort of bonkers backwards season that Spurs somehow win a trophy? I don't know. I doubt it. I think we'll go to Liverpool and get absolutely dick slaps. Like, I can't see that happening. And then would you actually back us if we got to the final anyway? European football, you think of the state of the squad that's going to be in, we're almost better off. I don't want to say this, but we're almost better off going out and just focusing on trying to stay up. How has it come to this? Like, how the fuck has it come to this, man? It's just... The thing is, if anybody is saying, "Oh, we told you so," and we saw this coming, to this extent, you're lying. Like, you are lying.
No one saw that.
But you know, I don't know. It's a mess. And you listen to Ange in the interviews, and as much as some of the nuggets that he says, you kind of really hold on to. Like when you see him so defeated yesterday, as much as, like I said, I really like him. How can you see that as the guy that's going to turn this around? He looks beaten. He does look beaten, doesn't he?
It's horrible. It's horrible. Knowing there's a Spurs game coming up as well, because it generally just feels like, oh, what am I doing Saturday, 3 p.m? Cuck watching. Like I'm cucking. Yeah. I'm going to watch my favourite thing in the world, apart from Julia, obviously. And this, I don't know this with Julia. But
don't do cucking.
But I'm going to watch Tottenham get. I'm going to watch Tottenham get absolutely railed on live TV, and then look at Twitter, and everyone's ridiculing me. Everyone's saying how shit I am. How shit, like, oh, it's just the worst feeling in the world. Let's talk about other managerial fits then. If you're looking at it to the summer, is there a managerial fit that comes in and instantly sort of he can use what he's got better than Ange Postecoglou, at the moment at his disposal with what we can offer right now with the players available, that you think would next season would do a better job? Like, there's a lot of discourse around Iraola, and there's actually been a few people I've seen, a few analysts say Iraola is actually not as sort of guaranteed as it looks like with Bournemouth, because obviously Bournemouth aren't a big team, and a lot of the time big teams will face a low block if they're playing a certain type of way. And there's question marks over Iraola. So what Iraola likes to do, I think was it Rob McKenzie? No, is that our scouting? Is that a scout?
No,
Scouting
Rob.
player?
I know who you mean, the guy from the Athletic, from the guy from Football
Athletic.
Tifo.
Yeah, he was saying that Iraola, he's random in the game. He's random with he'll speed up gameplay, like how they're playing with the ball, passing around, and he'll speed up or accelerate a press. So they'll trigger a press now and again throughout the game to catch teams off guard and keep them on their toes and make the game as chaotic as possible, but condition them in a way that they're more attuned to that chaos than the opposition. But it leads to a little bit of unsustainability when it comes to defending the lead, and also they don't know how Bournemouth would start playing if they started playing up against a low block week in, week out, which is what would probably happen if he came to Spurs.
Yeah.
The thing about Iraola is that I think we've got a lot of players that he would work with. Our recruitment strategy has been in the last 2 years, there's been an emphasis on signing players that are very effective in the press. So there wouldn't be, I don't think, that much training to do in trigger pressing, etc.
No.
We had the best press in the league at the beginning of the season. So there wouldn't be that much to do there. But I know that Iraola has it in him to play to hold out a lead when it comes to big teams in the game. I mean, they just beat Newcastle 4-1 away from home. I think that Ange Postecoglou, when we were replacing Conte, it was we've got so much work to do making this team attacking again because there's no attacking patterns. We have to start again from the bottom. It's a defensive team. Now we are at the complete other end of the extreme and the spectrum with Ange Postecoglou, where it's like now we need to look at implementing defensive like ideas to this team and try and find a sweet spot. I think we saw how quickly Postecoglou did that. Implemented the change. I think Iraola or a manager of that mold could do the same. But it's whether they get backed in the summer when they come in. But I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. That's the scary thing, is that we are in the dark. We have no idea what will work and what Levy will do. But yeah, what do you reckon? Is there a manager out there that could sort of get a better output from this team?
Yeah, what's Pep doing? It's the first time they've done,
We'd break him as well, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah, I think we'd break anyone, to be honest, mate. I don't know. I think they're all fair points. I think, Iraola, I think would probably be my number one choice because, like you said, I think there's not a huge amount of adaptation to be made in terms of the style that we already play. But again, they kind of rely on chaos a little bit as well, and that really high pressing. They work very hard. So in terms of attributing that over to Tottenham, it's kind of that with a bit more stability, but they still leave themselves quite open and vulnerable. Obviously, they're a very hard-working team. So again,
do you think that's quality though? The quality in the team, like if say Van der Ven, Romero. I know that's literally the problem with Postecoglou, that as soon as they get injured, we crumble. But if he had them at his disposal, maybe it'd be more effective.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. I think the thing is Bournemouth also got better quality centre back depth than us. Like they're missing Senesi, who's their captain, isn't he? But they've got Zabani and Huijsen. Huijsen is an absolute monster. And when you think about it, he's absolutely perfect for Tottenham, isn't he? The kid's a joke. Like, and Zabani, I think, would be, if Romero was to go, I think that is someone that we should be looking at. But again, how are we going to attract these players? I just don't. We should, again, like I said, irrelevant of league position, we still should be able to, but we won't. I think Iraola makes sense, but also I think, like, one, we're not going to get him mid-season anyway, but also a mid-season appointment because of the, I guess the kind of chaotic nature in which Bournemouth can play at times. That would worry me a little bit, but I think he'd be a good fit. He's not perfect. I don't think there is a manager that is a perfect fit for Tottenham. But then again, I don't think there's any manager that's a perfect fit for any team. It's about how can you bring your style and that to that and get the best out of it. So I don't know. I think it'd be a good. I would be happy if we appointed Iraola. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely, I think he's the best option. But there's no other. No one that is available at the moment moves me, and you're not going to get Iraola out of Bournemouth. You might not even get him out there in the summer. Probably not.
Yeah. Every managerial appointment is a risk, and they always have to bring in something different to the other manager. Otherwise, they're going to get sacked like the other manager did. Do you know what I mean? I don't really understand the point of he's not the best stylistic fit. There's definitely question marks because he's a young up and coming manager that he's going to have to face things for the first time in his career. But again, Postecoglou's had to face things for the first time in his career, really, coming to this level. The thing about Postecoglou is he was such an anomaly, such an exciting anomaly. But in my opinion, I kind of feel like he's very similar to just a Bielsa type manager. And would he, if he was at Bournemouth, where would Bournemouth be in the league? Do you think they would be doing all right or not? Because
Bielsa,
would they be playing against Ange Postecoglou? Because for me, in hindsight, and this is going off of a tangent, this is a bit like I'm just sort of getting this out because I thought about it the other day. In hindsight, if the fan base was given the opportunity to get Bielsa after Conte, we were at a very vulnerable, low point where we would have thought we need attacking football. But I don't think we would have gone to that extreme because we know how that ended. But Ange was an anomaly and it was working at Celtic. So but I think there's a lot of similarity there between Bielsa and like Postecoglou.
Yeah.
And would you think an Ange Postecoglou Bournemouth would be where Bielsa and Leeds were, which was where we are now?
No. I think there's if you gave Postecoglou, if you put Postecoglou at Bournemouth at the start of this season with no European football, I think they could be in and around the European places with the quality they've got in that team. Definitely. I think the multiple games a week has massively stretched our squad and meant that we can't play with the intensity that he would want to. That's why I think Bournemouth will struggle if they get Europe. I do think they will struggle if they get European football. Like Villa did, or Villa have done, just like Newcastle did as well. Like it will expose them a little bit. But yeah, I think Postecoglou would do a good. I think he would. I think he would do a decent job. I don't think he'd be in a relegation battle with Bournemouth. I think he's only in a relegation with battle. I think if you gave Ange Postecoglou his fit 11 every single week, we would not be in this position. I'm not saying we'd be in the top four or where Bournemouth are necessarily, because there are flaws in his style as well. The last time we had a fully fit squad, let's face it, was the start of last season, first 10 games, and we were top of the league. But then again, it's because he's new to the league and people haven't quite figured him out yet. There is an element of that that's come with it as well, which is another reason why you kind of hang your hat on him, kind of being able to turn it around. But do you think of the morale of this group being on the floor? And I don't think we've got the strong characters enough to build it back up. I'm not saying we're definitely going to go down, but I don't. It's just shit.
They've never been in this situation either. They probably are thinking, what the hell do we do? Every single game, you're fighting for your lives. Like, because in a couple of weeks, if the performances don't turn around, that's what we're going to be doing until the end of the season.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a long time in football. Like, it could either really sort of all turn around for Spurs. It's not going to completely turn around in 2 weeks, but like if in 2 weeks' time, if we won 2 or 3 games, then things will feel better. The situation obviously would have changed, but it wouldn't have got miles better. But it will feel like a weight has been lifted somewhat if we go and beat Hoffenheim, beat Leicester, and then beat Brentford away, which is going to be very difficult. And 2 weeks is a long time. Also, at the same time, in 2 weeks, things could look very, very different if we lose to Leicester and Brentford. That will be relegation battle central. Like that could be really, really bad. Because if you think about it, like we're 8 points above the relegation zone at the moment. There is a world in which Tottenham are 2 points above the safety in 2 weeks.
What would you do there? Would you then be like, get Sean Dyche in 6 months? This is that territory.
Oh God, I don't know. I really don't know. It worries me. I'm really worried about Tottenham. I genuinely think that we could get dragged into this. I genuinely believe we could get dragged into a relegation battle. My head says that we will finish 11th and we'll drag ourselves over the line and we might have a good go at one of the cup competitions and get knocked out in the Europa League quarter-final or something like that and be a bit unlucky in one of those cups and, give a valiant effort against Liverpool but get beat 2-0 or something like that. Like, that's kind of what my head says.
Yeah.
And Ange might get sacked at the end of it. But I am worried, really worried at the back of my mind that it's like this could get really messy, like really messy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a part of me that thinks back at like Chelsea a couple of years ago though, because they were about the same position as us, and they just had a really young team that was missing a lot, and they seemed like a mess. And then within 2 years, they've steadied it. The players have come into their own, etc. But again, Levy is the opposite to Todd Bowley. I mean, Todd Bowley is a bit of a fucking nutter. Very spontaneous, but I feel like his heart's still in the right place. He's ambitious, like to say the least. He is.
Yeah.
So do we? And he's aggressive, a bit too aggressive, I think. But I mean, I asked the question about where do you think Postecoglou would do with Bournemouth. It's because though well, if you look at Nuno, third in the league with Nottingham Forest, Conte second in Serie A, Mourinho second in the Turkish league. Like, I'm not saying, well, I would have sacked them at Spurs. I would have, and I was at one point. I was all of them out, but I do think Postecoglou would have a successful career elsewhere, and it all comes down to when we were gaining momentum, when we had that positive energy around us. The board were lagging. They were so far behind us, and they stood still. Yet again, the board stands still, and we fail to kick on. And that's what happened. And again, I said at the beginning of the season, if we don't act in January, this is the last chance. And then it is terminal. Postecoglou will probably get sacked. And we're living in the same cycle, and we haven't even been aggressive here when the shit's hit the fan already. So it feels terminal and it feels so toxic.
Yeah.
But Michael Moore looked good though.
Yeah, great cross. Unbelievable cross.
Yeah, great cross. Yeah. Indicted Spurs. Calvert-Lewin's our good striker. Should we
I can't
get a little
believe that.
loan in?
Well, I can believe it because it's fucking Tottenham. But like,
yeah. No, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you can believe the unthinkable with Spurs.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's the thing. The unthinkable is probably Championship football next year.
And it's a possibility.
And the unthinkable is winning the League Cup as well.
Fucking come on. Oh, we're back. We're back. I don't know. I just want to break from this fucking football club.
Yeah. Should we end the pod?
Was there any more questions? Anybody else? Was there any more questions?
I think so. Well, yeah. Let's have a little look. We've got Proby. Are Tottenham going to ruin my trip this weekend? Yeah. Matt Seppala says, as much as we joke about it, we need 6 wins to probably stave off relegation. Matt, what are you doing to us, mate?
How many wins? 6 to beat the drop.
We've just gone through that, bringing us down, relegation's actually haunting me. Like,
yeah,
it's actually
I'm
getting
really
me
worried.
stressed.
I am really worried.
But would there be a more Tottenham thing than winning Europa, getting Champions League football whilst also getting relegated? In all seriousness, what percent chance do you think relegation is possible? 15%, 20%?
Yeah, like 15, 20% right now. But ask me again in 2 weeks. Because like I
Yeah,
said,
at the end of the transfer.
Well, yeah, and after Leicester and Brentford. Brentford will smell blood against us. That fucking
Brentford will beat us. I'm expecting that 100%.
Yeah, we've got to beat Leicester. Fuck me.
Do you think it will? Van Nistelrooy, they're all turning on him a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. I'm sure you fucking will know what you're doing on Sunday. Vardy's going to score. If Vardy scores against us and we lose,
oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, I'll literally try and drag Postecoglou out myself if Vardy scores and we lose to Leicester. But then I'm saying try. I don't think I'd be able to drag him out of building.
Are you going to the game on Sunday?
No, I'm not going to a game for the rest of the season. I quit.
Look, maybe. I'm just thinking like what the app. I don't know. What,
Are you?
Yeah. I'll be there. I don't know what. Like, I I'm just trying to think about what the atmosphere might be like. There was obviously a lot
I
of
know.
Levy out stuff yesterday, and obviously the atmosphere at the end of the game when the players were going over and stuff. But the problem is the home crowd get enough kind of day trippers and tourists in there that sometimes that stuff just doesn't really gain any momentum.
Yeah, it's sort of drowned out in it. Because the thing is also, if we win, will the Ange Postecoglou chance be going in the South Stand? Do you reckon? Like, or if do you think they're weavering a little bit? What's the word I'm looking for? Wiltering a little bit. Because that's the thing. That's the clear message. Every time that Postecoglou song is sang, but I feel like the further this goes on, it's gonna start draining out a little bit. That faith.
I think
just
so.
feels terminal, doesn't it? Dave Hitner. Don't know what it is. I don't know how you say his surname, but it is dangerously close to to one of the. Tottenham's intention continues to give Ange Postecoglou the opportunity to revive Tottenham's fortunes, with the under pressure manager set to remain in charge for this week's matches against Hoffenheim in the Europa League and Leicester in the Premier League. Although the situation is precarious, Dave Hitner, he's from the Guardian, so that's the Guardian. Yeah, Hoffenheim's I think more of a slip up because the Europa League, the cup competitions, is what we're believing in this season.
Yeah.
League's written off as long as we survive. I think league's written off. We don't want to write the league off too much though, because now it's actually becoming like every week's a battle. And we need to battle for this. For the time being, anyways. Like Matt Sapler said, 6 wins and we're up. We'll be all right probably. But it's the Europa League. If we get dicked up by Hoffenheim, who are having a worse season than us, that could be detrimental. And then going into Leicester with that hanging over us, the pressure is so high on all of us. Let's have a look.
We're currently 1 for 3 for an all-time Dr. Tottenham week, aren't we? Because Calvert-Lewin scored against us when we lost to Everton. Hoffenheim, did you see that interview that Kramaric gave after their game last week against Bayern?
Yeah.
And then Leicester have won 1 game away from home all season. We're 1 for 3.
Calvert-Lewin as well. It wasn't even just he got a consolation goal or a deflection.
Brilliant goal.
It was one of the best goals I've ever seen. He ended Archie Gray's career.
Yeah. He took it so well.
Already, he's 18 years old. Dragusin was turned into Strictly Come Dancing, mate. He was moving like Paul Merson on Strictly. Oh my god! And then I wasn't one bit surprised. I was just like, "What a fucking goal!" Enjoy as a player as well. I'd love to see him at Spurs. Anyways, let's see. After Hoffenheim, after Leicester, we'll be back. Let's see where our heads at there because we're all over the place here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are listening. Everyone, please hit that subscribe button. It's coming up it will soon be a year that this podcast has been going on. Hit that subscribe button. We'll try to get to 1,000 on YouTube and hit the follow on Spotify, Apple Pods.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening.
Should we stop the podcast? Because I feel like ever since we started doing this, it's all gone downhill.
Yeah, maybe. Imagine we just lads, let's just have this experiment. We won't upload and see what happens, and then all of a sudden we just climb this table.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll
see in April when we hit 40 points.
Yeah,
we'll be back then.
Stay
it up. I said, could you imagine the chorus of that coming from the South Stand in the last game of the season?
Oh, it'd be beautiful. It'd be unbelievable. And then mixed with Levy out. Well, let's see where we are next week, and then we'll sort of reassess the pod. Although we missed the Arsenal result game. Oh no, we didn't. We previewed that game.
Yeah,
we missed the reaction, but even still, we lost against Everton. Thank you everyone. Take care.
All the best.
Hopefully it gets a little bit better.
Yeah,
and hopefully there'll be some transfer news as well, because that's what we need right now.
Yeah, it's been cricket.
Legends. Up Spurs.